I'm Amy Masters. I'm one of the admin here on Nail Techs Helping Nail Techs, and this is my first live in a big setting, and so I'm very, very nervous. You can probably tell I'm a little flush and shaky, but you know what? We all got to start somewhere, and whether I go live or you choose to go live or something, I just hope this helps you know that it's possible, it's easy, and we'll just figure it out as we go. So I'm going to wait for some people to get on. Until that time, I thought I would share a little bit of my history so that you know that I'm kind of, here for the right reasons. I'm not here because I'm not, endorsed by a product. I'm not endorsed by a company. It's just my own nerdy nail knowledge. This might not be, exactly the techniques that you would use, but it is the techniques that I use. I have been licensed in the state of Wyoming in the USA for 25 years, and I've done this full-time ever since. It was not my intention to stay as a nail tech or even become kind of a consultant, but that's the way, my blessings have come, and that's where I ended. And so I cherish this career, and I look forward to helping others, and I kind of believe in that, passing it forward. And so I believe that any of the knowledge you have, continue to share that, because for generations to come, obviously nails are not just going to be a trend. It is a lifestyle, and to some people it's very, very important, as you well know. Anyways, I see some people are getting on, and I even recognize some of you, like Doris. Nice to see you. Doris just took one of my workshops that I did right here through Nail Techs Helping Nail Techs. So if you're ever interested in those, you just have to message and we can give you some more details. Look on ad day, because ad day, I'm always there. So, and I'll give you some more details into that. So just like an hour ago, I came up with what I wanted to teach today. And one of the main things that keeps coming up is an ombre with gel polish. It's very difficult to do, but I found a system that is pretty foolproof for me, and I'm going to share that. And then likewise, you might have other ways that you do your ombres with white, which is what I'm going to do, or with color or with glitter or whatnot, but this is one of the systems that I use, and I'm just going to share it. Other than that, I have some time-saving tips and some money-saving, huge money-saving tip today. And I'm excited to share that with you. Every Friday night, Emma Podmore is going to get on live. She's in the UK, so it'll be UK time at 8 o'clock p.m. And she specializes in acrylic, and she's going to do a live all the way from the prep through the application to the design, and then answer any questions that you might have from her as well. And so I wish that I lived in the UK or that she lived here so we can actually team up and do this together, but that's one of the fun things about being able to do lives and Facebook and Skyping and all that, is it can unite us from all around the world to come together for, one purpose. And so I treasure that, so I thank you. Okay, so enough about me. I'm just going to get started because I know that your time is limited as well, and in some places this is like 2 o'clock in the morning. And so what I wanted to do is start with some time-saving tips. And the biggest tip that I can come with, so far is knowing the difference of your LED and UV lamps. When you're doing any application, whether you're just doing acrylic with the gel seal or you're doing gel polish or any of that, it's a big difference between the 1 minute set and the 3 minute set on how much time it can save you in the salon. And you can spend lots of money like I have on a Breeza light, which I absolutely love. However, today for the class, because I need the height, I'm actually going to use a light that I got off of, let's say an online retailer, less than $40. And it is a UV and an LED light. And so what's nice about this one is any gel polish that you have, it cures it greatly in the same amount of time that a regular LED would be. And so I've actually had some really good luck with this light. But for today, for the sake of class, I am going to use this light because the width in here is wider for me able to get my little sample tip in. So that is one time-saving and cost-saving tip, if you want to look at it that way, that can save you time in the salon. If you're still using just a UV light, it's time. It's time for you to get up and get an LED light, and you don't have to spend a lot of money to get them. So here's my big money-saving thing for today. I've been around for a long time in this industry, and so I've learned different companies have the same product. For instance, pH bonds. If you look at the ingredients of them, they're mostly an alcohol and an acetate. Some of them have an acetone mixed in with it, which obviously if you're going to be applying some of the products, you kind of want to avoid acetone as much as you can unless you're going to do a removal. So once again, this is my own nerdy nail knowledge. I'm not endorsing a company. I'm not downing a company at all. I just want you to know that if you do a little bit of product research, that you're going to find a lot of ways that you can save money in the industry. So one of the ways that you can save money, for instance, so gelish pH bond. You can get a ½ ounce bottle for around $5, okay? The reason why I choose this one versus like say OPI is because OPI's lid is about that long, and the way the shape of their bottle is, every time I tip it, because I'm used to a normal size bottle for polish, I would spill it constantly, and it was very frustrating to me. And even though I love the product, it just wasn't in the right packaging for me. So I chose gelish because of the packaging. Another thing that I like is I really like the short brush that it has, so that when I do my scrub-ons and stuff, I'm not using too much product, so there's not as much waste, but I can really get into the cuticle area and scrub in where I need to make sure that there's no debris and that it's properly pH balanced. Now, Tammy Taylor has a product called Clean It. It's the same stuff, but you can buy it in bulk. So Clean It for 16 ounces. This is $19.95 without it being on sale. This is $5. So it would take 32 of these bottles to equal this, which would mean 32 of these bottles would cost me $160. This refill costs me $19.95. It's $140 savings for a similar product. I use this bottle because it's my kind of bottle, and I refill it with my Clean It. Like I said, might not be for everybody. I know I'm going against some of the company's ways, but ultimately it works, and it works great. And it's a huge way of saving money, because this is something that we have to use whether you're doing a pedicure, a manicure, any gel enhancing. You have to have some sort of a pH bond to clean that nail and make sure that you're going to get proper adhesion. So that's a huge one. Another tip that I do is every time I buy something, I write the date that I bought it on and throughout the times that I use it, so that I know how long something like this lasts, so that I know when to refill it. And then maybe around the time that I know I'm going to run out, I can look for deals and see if anything's on sale, because I'm a little bit of a cheapskate. And so anyways, that's a huge money saving tip for today. Okay. So now on some fun. I'm going to move my camera around so that you guys can see what I'm going to do. I sent a picture online on what I'm going to do. I don't know if you can kind of see it. It's going to be an ombre using gel polish and acrylic powder. I call it the genre technique. And then I'm going to do a little bit of hand art with striping and some dots and show you how to use a dotting tool. And then, another big question that always comes up is, how do you get your gems to stay? And I'm going to show you that today as well. So I think today's class should cover a lot of people's questions and stuff that you have. I'm sorry I'm not able to really read any of the questions that you guys have currently, but I promise after this video, when I review it, I will go through and I will answer everybody's questions that you have. And I appreciate that. So bear with me and I'll get you to the next step. Yeah, you want to see my setup? A lot of people ask, how do you do your lives? How do you do your videos? Watch, you see this light? See these rubber bands? I hook my phone into the rubber bands on the light, and I have light, and I have my bands where I need them, and works out pretty well. All right, let's get you in there. Yeah, so I don't usually have this much trouble. It's because I'm nervous, and literally, guys, I've done so many live workshops, but this one has me so nervous. Yeah. Like, do you want to look at the ceiling? Or how about you want to look at my table? The fun thing with going live is you get to see how the person really is. And here you know that I'm just a goof. All right, where is it at? Okay, so I apologize. This is just not normal for me. There! Let's see here, we'll need to be about right there. So I wish I could see you guys and hear you guys, because I want to make sure that you can see all this as well. I'll zoom in just a little bit. There's so many comments at the bottom that honestly I can't even see my own screen. So here's how I get ready. This is just an old bottle of polish. The lid comes off. And so I use glue dots. And I have to put a glue dot on the top. And add my tip to that. Then when I need to put it in the light, I can take this off, set it in the light, bring it back, and then I have my steadiness. All right, so if this live doesn't turn out, then I'll just repeat it and do it again. And if it turns out great, then we'll keep doing this. So I apologize if this is too crazy, don't worry about it. Okay, so here's another one of those things that I'm not endorsed by a company. I am going to mix some product lines, so if it makes you crazy, it's okay, you'll figure yours out, but this is what I use for me. So in an ombre technique where you're going to fade it down with gel polish, so say you already have whatever application that you use on there, I'm going to take a gel polish base coat and I'm going to apply it over the entire nail. And just like with any other base coat, you want to apply it thin and apply it evenly. And make sure there's no bubbles or anything in it. I'm going to use this cheap acrylic powder just for demos. And then what I do is I sprinkle it on. This is that part I call the genre technique. I sprinkle it on to create a fade from the tip down the nail and tap off the excess. And then you'll set that into your UV light for 30 seconds. So now you just get to, you know, look at my fingers for 30 seconds. Doug Schoon posted just today on Nail Techs Helping Nail Techs a difference of UV versus LED lights. If you've ever read any of Doug Schoon's articles or his books, he is amazing. And so it's always nice to hear his knowledge because it's facts. It's just not somebody's opinion. Okay, so once that sets, you will take a manicure brush, wipe off that excess powder. Take that same UV base coat gel, and instead of applying it over the entire nail, apply it around half of that distance. Go back to your acrylic powder, sprinkle that in. Now remember, it's only going to set in where it's sticky. So I don't know if you can start to see it, but it's already creating that ombre effect. You'll set that in the light. You know, I say 30 seconds because that's really all it needs. But if you're doing a client and you have all 5 fingers done this way, go ahead and set them in there for a minute because it takes about a minute to do the other hand. And therefore you know that that hand is not moving around and not getting itself in trouble. And so it's nice to kind of keep their hand in one spot. And 1 minute is not going to over-cure it. But it is going to set it enough that what you need. Okay, so once again, you'll remove it out. Remove that excess powder, because if you don't and you go to put on your gel polish, it's going to make this thick and kind of goopy. So once again, let's taper it one more time and go about halfway of that distance. Okay, and I'm still using that base. The reason why I'm using base is because it's the only gel polish that's truly clear. The rest of them all either have a pink tone or something to them. Okay, make your mix. So that's a third. Stick that in the light for, like I said, 30 seconds or a minute, depending if you're doing the whole hand or not. I can't wait to see your guys' questions, and I look forward to working more with you. You know, a few months ago when they asked me to be an admin on this group, I had no clue that our group was going to be this successful and this powerful with the networking of women from all around the world. And so it's such a delight to be a part of something so phenomenal. Okay, so once that sets in there for its 30 seconds, take your brush, wipe off the excess, and then you need to do one coat over all of that to kind of encapsulate your acrylic powder that's on there. And so down the entire nail, once again, keeping it from flooding, you know, keeping your consistency nice and thin. See where you already have a shine on there? And I do set that final cure in there for 1 whole minute because I want to make sure that all those layers are completely set. If you've already done it for a whole minute, you'll be fine at leaving it in there for those 30 seconds. So I'm going to come on periodically and do these tips and tricks, and I need input back from you of what you would like to learn. I went through our group and I found that the #1 question was for ombre, and whether you do it with acrylic or you do it with hard gel or a technique like this, it's just one of those techniques that, and kind of unless you have mastered it with acrylic or you've mastered it with an airbrush, it's very difficult. And time saving of the reason why I like to do my technique this way is when the client comes back in, all of this is set up on top of what I've already created on there now. And so therefore I can file it off very easily, and I'm not chasing any of the color to be able to apply my next color that comes in. Okay. So from here you can add in, you know, whatever color you want on top. Today I'm going to use Shellac Grapefruit Sparkle because I like that little bit of a sheerness at the base. So that way when the client's nail grows out, you don't see that solid line of like a nude color or pink color. And because of it's faded this way, you don't have to have, you know, such an opaque color over the top. So get your fair amount and then drag it down. You can go over all the way to the tip if you want to fade that coloring out a little bit, but the purpose of ombre is to have one solid color at the tip and fade to a complete other color. And so I don't like to take it all the way to it because I like to have it change like that. So that's my way of doing ombre. I'm going to go ahead and set that in. Once again, this would be for 1 minute to cure that grapefruit sparkle. So while that's setting, I'm going to bend your ear again. So in the future classes that I want to do, one of them that is another area that we're having problems with is building our clientele. One of the ways to build our clientele, though, is we have to have a Facebook business page or some sort of an Instagram page. And you need to showcase your work in a portfolio type of setting, whether you're going to apply for a job or you're just wanting to attract the clients, and we can do some ads that way. So there is a little bit of homework from today's class. If you do not already have a Facebook business page, I want you to set one up, and you'll need to link it to your regular page. You don't have to post pictures or anything on it unless you're comfortable, because we're going to go over that in the class a little bit. But you need to start somewhere, and this is a free way to start. And any of the advertising that I've ever done, I've never paid for a post to be like a sponsored post or anything. So I truly know that you can do this free and build up an entire clientele. Okay, so there's my ombre using gel polish and some acrylic powder genre technique. So I'm going to use rubbing alcohol, and I like lint-free pads to be a makeup wedge. And so I am going to take off and remove that tacky layer that's on there. I'm going to take black, just a striper brush. With striper brushes, you really need to be light-handed, whether you're using a separate brush into gel polish or anything like that. You have to get to where you can understand and know your strokes. You know, if you're really heavy-handed and you're trying to draw with it, you're going to get an unlevel line, and your paint's going to come off uneven as well. But once you get to knowing how to use your brush and you know how to stay light-handed, then you can use your brush to, you know, do so many designs and flow with it so nicely. And then I'm going to mimic what I did earlier. And now, let me tell you one thing. If we spend all that time mastering an ombre, the last thing you want to do is go cover it up. So maybe only use this as an accent nail so that you know that you didn't waste your time creating this process. I don't know, just kind of a funny part. Another time-saving and money-saving thing is use craft paint. Okay, as long as you put seal over it, this water-based craft paint will stay. And then I use a dotting tool. You know, another thing about learning art is knowing your implements. So I just use it out of the lid. That way I have no waste. With your tools, a lot of people don't realize you do the first dot. If you follow it down, it will automatically taper those dots for you. And that's how you can get a nice flared look. Here, I'll do it with the bigger end. So I tell people practice, like my tabletop is glass. This is sticky, so it's sticking to me. My tabletop is glass, and so I'm constantly showing designs and playing around with this right on my glass, and then I can wipe it right off. Okay, so in our original design, I used the small end of my dotting tool. And you do that same technique. You just, that one dip of paint and tapering it down will just narrow it how you need it. And then I went opposite here. So craft paint and a dotting tool, if you follow any of my work, you will see that I pretty much just use craft paint, gel paint, and my dotting tool for every design that I do. Okay, so a long time ago, before a lot of these other popular hard gels, there was a product called Quintessence. And I still use this for any of my gems. The reason why is it's in a squirt bottle, and I can get out just how much gel I need and use my dotting tool with it. So I have no brush, I have no mess like that. I put this directly down onto my glass, which you probably can't see in the video, but I use my dotting tool, and I put this in exactly where my gems are going to be. Oh, this doesn't want to stay right now. Okay, well, I guess I'll hold it. And you know, you do want to get a decent layer in there because these gems, all the way around them, need to kind of settle into this so that, you know, you don't lose your stones. The stones that I'm going to use today are just ones that I've picked up online. They come in these packages. You can get so many kinds. You can spend the money as well and get some that are, you know, some nicer Swarovskis and some true crystals. But truly for, you know, for $1 or whatever these are, I've never had any issues with them. The colors that I used in my prayer one is purple, and then these crystals. And then I used a couple medium-sized ones. So this one comes from large all the way to the medium. All right, so I put a little bit of, yep, you gotta love going live, huh? So I put a little bit of that hard gel onto my brush because then I can pick up these with ease and place them where I want. you know, artwork has always been like, if you didn't know how to do it by hand, you know, it wasn't considered art. And I've noticed the last couple years that the trend has changed, and it's not even so much true art as it is a lot of 3D and stones. And so art is definitely changing. And even though I still like to do hand art and stones, I like my clients to go away and say, she did that. She created that all herself. And so I like that bragging right of them knowing that I took the time to create this for them. Okay, so then you would set that into the light to cure the hard gel that's on there. And of course, I always make a mess, so I have to always clean up. You know, another really time-saving thing is if you are organized and you know exactly where all your products are, and it's always just within your reach. Do you know how much time you save that you don't have to walk across the room to, you know, go grab another item? Okay. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add, it's a no cleanse top coat. You can use any brand. Obviously I'm using this one just because I have a lot of their gel polish and I really like it. So you don't go up over the stones are already encased in the hard gel. So they're set. What you do need to make sure you cover though is any of the other artwork that you have. And that's your finished product. So I'm going to set that in the light. That's going to cure completely without a tacky coat. And now I'm going to bring you back to me. How was that? Sorry about that. All right. So we did all of that in about less than 30 minutes. So I can answer any questions that you have. I know we kind of went over quite a few different things and you had to hear me ramble on, but now it's your time. What I want is to hear from you and what do you want to know next? Bring it on. And I see like Brenda and Eva and Anna and Doris, you know, thank you so much for joining in. I appreciate your time. So, you know, one unique thing that's happening on this live that I've never seen is that it's just showing me boxes of who's on. It's not really showing me any of the questions and stuff. So I kind of wonder if there's not something, something I push that maybe I don't know. So I can't see any questions coming up. So I hope you have some questions or some comments of what to do. So here's the finished tip, completely tack-free. My stones are on and good. When I do this on a client, they can go the entire 4 weeks because most of my clients go 4 weeks between their fills. I used to say that I wouldn't encourage that, but you know what? When your product holds up and there's no lifting and there's no issues and all your color stays, there's no reason why they can't go 4 weeks. It allows you to build up a bigger and larger clientele and a more consistent clientele as well. And it allows you to stay with a little bit more of the high end because in a lot of other salons, your competition out there, they're telling them they have to come back every 2 weeks. And so when your product is good and your adhesion is good, you can say, you know what, you can come to me once a month, every 3 weeks, whatever works best for you. And it becomes less of a commitment per se, and they kind of see it as a money saving thing for them. But, you know, charge what you're worth. And if you've taken my cost class, you know that I know how to set that up. So maybe that will be another class that we choose to do as well. Okay, so nothing is coming up for questions, and I apologize. I bet I pushed some button and I didn't realize it. Any of you that were not able to join me live, this is a replayable one. It's going to be dancing around on our Nail Techs Helping Nail Techs group. So even if you post a question at a later time, I will still get it and I will answer that for you. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to come on live again, but if you leave in the comments what you have in mind, then maybe I'll be inspired to even do one tomorrow. So I appreciate your time. Remember to check out and find Emma Podmore tomorrow night at 8. I look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.